Hello, these are going to be the measurement notes. Now the measurement notes, you should have a fill in a blank copy of them. So you're just going to type in the words as you see them. And the way it works, here's the first slide I'm going to show you. Wherever you see a red word, and typically they're always going to be red, or different videos they may be blue or a different color. You're just going to have to type in that word. And so what this requires you to do is, one, you have to pay attention and you have to be typing in words, but it also leaves you, when I was growing up, a lot of times we'd have to write all the words out. And what would happen is I'd spend so much time writing that I wouldn't be listening to what the teacher was saying. So now it gives me a greater chance to type in the word and then listen to the background information. So I can spend more time listening, less time writing it. So it's going to save you time, but it's also going to allow you to learn more. So the metric system was designed during the French Revolution of the 1790s. The metric system brought order out of the conflicting and confusing traditional systems of weights and measures that were being used in Europe. So in Europe in the 1790s, there was no one standard measurement. So when you went from country to country, the measurements differed. So it was really hard for trade because say a meter, and they didn't have the meter system back then. They probably used the English system. The foot was different sizes in different countries, so it was really hard to trade. Now with the metric system, as soon as countries adopted the metric system, it brought order out of chaos. So a meter of cloth was a meter of cloth in whatever country you went to that used a metric system. So the modern day version of the metric system is the International System of Units, and it's abbreviated SI. And this came about in the 1960s. So the metric system, a lot of times we talk about the metric system here in class. Technically, that's an outdated term. It's the International System of Units, or the SI system. So what is good about the SI system? How is it different than the English system that we use here in the United States? Well, one, everything is based on multiples of 10. There are no fractions. We simply move decimals around within the metric system to convert from one unit to another unit. And all scientists use the International System of Units, or the metric system. So that's why we're going to use it here in science class. I know every once in a while I'll have somebody say, why are we using a metric system? Why do we have to know about it? Because we don't use that in this country. But the United States has trade with countries all over the world. And then scientists mainly communicate with other scientists all over the world. By having a common language, having a common form to measure, it's easier to communicate. So who uses the SI system? Basically, everybody in the world uses it except us, and Liberia, and Myanmar. And if you didn't know where those countries are, here's Liberia, and here's Myanmar. So you can see most countries, not all, but most countries use the metric system. And we still use the old, more traditional English system, which the English don't even use. So does a metric system have length units? Yeah. In the English system, we have the foot. Well, they have the meter. In volume, we have the gallon. In the English system, what do they use in the metric system? The liter. If it's a liquid, or a cubic centimeter, if it's a solid. In mass, well, we have weight in this country. Well, in the metric system, they have the gram. And then in temperature, we use Fahrenheit. They use Celsius mainly. So why does it matter? Well, we're going to learn a little bit more about these later in the video that will tell you, and I'll try and explain why this standardized version seems to be a little bit easier for most people around the world. So one thing I do want you to notice is here are the basic tools used to find length, volume, mass, the ruler, the meter stick, the graduated cylinder, the triple beam balance. We're going to use electronic balances in here. Calculations, it's not really a tool, whatever you use to calculate it. And most of you have calculators on your Chromebook. You'll just use that. And then you have the thermometer is used for temperature. So what are base units? Well, the base unit, say in the metric system, is the meter for length. And a base unit is the standard unit of measurement that we will use to measure. And again, the meter is for length. All we do is add prefixes to change the base units. What is a prefix? Remember, that's what you put before the main part of the word. And a prefix is a small part of a word that comes before the word. Metric prefixes equal a number. When we measure, we can add a prefix to change the value. And that's the neat thing about the metric system is, again, the base unit for length is the meter. But I can have a millimeter, a centimeter, a kilometer, a gigameter. Notice meter is in every one of those. We don't have that in the English system. You know, we have feet, then we have inches, then we have miles. They're all different. So once you know a few of the more common ones, it's really easy to figure out what's what. And here there's even more of them than what you saw in this slide here. And you can get very, very large and very, very small. So each one of these prefixes means something. Milli means 1,000th. And you can see that with the decimal right here. So 1 millimeter is 1,000th of a meter. Centi means 100th. So 1 centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. So what do I expect you to know from this video? One, I expect you to know the abbreviations. You should know that cm is centimeter, a g is gram, an L is liter, an ml is milliliter. So when you see the numbers with the abbreviations, you can start to get an idea of how much it is and how little there is or how large it is. I also expect you to know some of the basic information about the metric system, like it's based on units of 10. I don't expect you to know, for example, the dates of the French Revolution when it first came about. And I want you to know the difference between the metric system and English system. So if you look at a pound, is a pound going to be the English system or the metric system? If you look at a meter, is it English or metric? If you look at a milliliter, what is it? If you look at a gallon, what is it? So I expect you to know some of those basic differences. So again, make sure if you have any questions, you ask. And make sure you get your notes filled out because you're going to have to show me those in order to get credit for them. Thanks.